Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I wanted to talk about the Cloak and Dagger TV show trailer that just went up yesterday. At least I think it went up yesterday. I mean, that's when I first saw it. So if you haven't seen it, I'll include, a link in the description as well as a card to it to let you know, go check it out. But if you're unfamiliar with Cloak and Dagger, they are characters from the Marvel universe, both the comics and subsequent stuff too. I'm not that familiar with them. The only reason why I'm slightly knowledgeable in them is just because of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series. I think it's around season 3 is when they first pop up. Granted, that's something I'm gonna have to go back and finish because I got halfway through season 3, I think. So I'm gonna have to pick that back up because I do think that's finished now. But nevertheless, so I'm not that familiar with their backgrounds a little bit, especially you can kind of get a sense of who they are like a little bit from the trailer. It seems like they kind of have probably some rough upbringings, and it seems like that's what kind of brings them closer together. It's because, I mean, obviously, as you see from the trailer, they had like a connected past where it's like Cloak, which I'm gonna refer to him as that because they even say their names in the trailers, but I gloss over more often than not because I rarely call heroes by their like actual names, except only when it's like a hero I'm 100% familiar with, like, who they really are, their secret identity. So, but like Cloak had apparently saved Dagger when she was in an accident or whatever. Like he was in the water and he came and saved her and pulled her. Granted, they didn't realize who each other was at the time. So it seems like they bond over that. But like overall what the story will be, obviously you're not really sure exactly. It seems like, I mean, obviously it seems like them dealing with like a troubled childhood. Like obviously, like it seems like they probably get caught up with the wrong crowds and stuff like that and just kind of trying to, it seems like almost like trying to find your place in the world type of story. At least that's how I'm surmising from the trailer and stuff like that. I mean, like obviously it's kind of got that teen drama aspect to it. So it's like being a teenager and on top of that having superpowers and trying to decide what to do with that. It's very like aesthetically, it kind of reminds me of the Netflix Marvel shows in the sense of it's like very street level crime. It's not like they're like full on taking on like large scale super villains like Thanos or something like that. It seems like it is going to be like street level. Obviously it is on ABC, I mean, well, Freeform, obviously formerly ABC Family. So obviously it's not going to be as, I'm sure, as dark as like the Netflix shows, which are a little bloodier in some cases and deals with darker themes and tones. I'm sure it's probably still going to have its darker tones to it, but probably not to the subject matter that might have been covered in something like Jessica Jones, for example. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not that familiar with them, but from my slight understanding of their powers, obviously with Dagger, it seems like obviously her power is like, in a sense, I think she bends light, or at least controls light, and basically she gets the name Dagger because she can actually make light daggers. And obviously for the shows, because obviously, they're not movie budget, so they have to like find a different way of representing something, because it's like it's easier to draw something but it's harder to probably bring a concept to life. Like for example, since we're on the subject of Marvel, like for example how the Iron Fist looks on Danny in the Marvel TV show, like his fist glows. As you know from the cartoons and the comic books, doesn't necessarily look like, but obviously for TV purposes you have to change it up. And it seems like in Dagger's case, it seems like the daggers take on the form of crystals at the very least. I don't know, maybe that's just how they start off looking. And in Cloak's case, he has the power to cloak himself in anything, and it allows him to teleport. That's why when you look at there's like one point in the trailer where he's like, well, it was probably most likely laying in his bed and he wrapped himself up in his blanket, but then he kind of wakes up and he's on top of a building. From what I know, he does have like a special cloth. I don't know whether I originally thought that maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it's like, oh, like I guess part of me thought that was part of who he was. I didn't realize that was something that was separate from him. Kind of like how like kind of Doctor Strange has that cape that's kind of its own thing, except I never knew it was its own thing until the movie, because I never really saw it act on its own, at least not to my recollection. So I'm thinking it's kind of the same thing. Maybe it's something special he had designed, or maybe the cloth itself that he uses, well, rather cloak is probably the better word. The cloak he uses, maybe it has special significance. I mean, so, but as we can see, like it doesn't necessarily just need to be like a special cloak. It can just be anything, as long as he like like as long as he brings someone in and cloaks them in the shadow with him, he can teleport there. I'm sure it's a situation where it's like he needs to think about the place first before he can actually, you know, get a clear cut picture of it before he can go. So because I'm also like, because once again I'm not familiar with them, I don't know where they fall in the whole category of things. Because it is a Marvel thing, I'm wondering, do they fall under the category of Inhumans, or just probably in the category of enhanced people? Like where they fall in at? Like, are their powers experimental based, or are their powers like something they were born with? I'm very interested to see what this is all about. My question to you guys is, what did you think about the trailer? Are you excited to check out Cloak and Dagger? Yes, no, maybe? Does it being on Freeform change your mind about it? Like, if it was on Netflix, would that make you more inclined to think about like, oh, I'd watch it if it was on Netflix, but because it's on Freeform, you know, in your mind, like, you know, like I said, it probably won't be as, obviously, as bloody or, you know, as quote-unquote mature as the Netflix Marvel shows are. I mean, for obvious reasons, it'll probably feel a lot like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it comes to its tone. So even then, it'll probably still deal with, like I said, some darker stuff, but it probably won't just have that like mature rating like the Netflix stuff does. So do let me know how you feel about it. Personally, like I said, I'm excited to see what it's all about. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.